What up, everyone? This is Bevin, and welcome to Tales from Tundo, a talkback podcast for Kingdom of Tundo, now available on roguemana.com. Here we go in depth behind the scenes with Tundo creator MA in the house. What up, in May? How are you?
I'm cool.
Excellent. He's cool. New issues of the comic book and episodes of the podcast are available same day every month because we're cool. The Kingdom of the Kingdom The Kingdom of Tundo is the last bastion of magic in the world of Mayi, but the land is dying and only the last scion of the Dula bloodline can save it. Together with mythfolk and allies, he tries to unite Tundo and revive it to the glory that it once was. The Kingdom of Tundo is a digital comic book, now available at roguematter.com or on the Rogue Matter app, because we're hip. We have an app. Rogue Matter is a digital publishing company that shatters boundaries and colors outside the lines. Check out our website or download our mobile app to start consuming all the free content we have, including comics, ebooks, podcasts, videos, and more. Join the movement. Go rogue, roguematter.com. Today, MA, we are discussing Kingdom of Tundo, number 6, Myth and Magic, Part 6, The River of Sarig.
Yes.
And it's very droughted out, from what I gather.
Yes.
So let's talk about Myth and Magic Part 6. What happens in this episode?
Okay. This is about the tribe of the Maiseg, who is one of the few remaining tikbalang. Actually, the only tribe, the tikbalang, who still doesn't want to incorporate with the Kingdom of Tundo and acknowledge Bunao Dula as its leader. So what happens was they've been traveling the desert for quite some time because most of the myth folks have been outcast in the Kingdom of Tundo prior to Bunao's leadership. So what Agat Anon, one of the tribal leader of the Maiseg, orders his daughter to look for the River of Sarig, which is the birthplace of the Tikbalang in the lore of Kingdom of Tundo. But the problem is, after she searched for it with the help of Bunao, she finds it dry and lost. Until again, the shadows have a lot to do with it because the river dried up because Adalanon, the first of the Tikbalang, who was supposed to be the guardian of the River of Sarig, was corrupted. So everything else was corrupted in Sarig, and it dried up. And Onrak confronts Adalanon. There's a brief fight. But then the shadows try to take over Onrak because they see her as a more suitable myth folk to be corrupted and to go out into the world and use another vessel for their malice. But Bunao, as knowing what would happen, intervenes and saves Onrak. And there is that tinge of hope because there is still that little water that Onrak found. But instead of bringing it back to her people, Onrak gives it to Adalanon to lift the curse and give sort of give to bring Adalanon's misery at peace. So there's that, and after that, when Bunao comes back with Onrak now being the leader, acknowledging that Bunao is the leader of Tundo, they go back and the tribe incorporates itself with the rest of Tundo.
Yeah, and so this is kind of like a flip side of the same coin in terms of like the last issue where you dealt with people that have prejudice and hate that are not
Mm-hmm.
willing to trust and move forward yet, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have this tribe that is also dealing with some mistrust of the government as well, but they open their arms up to change and move forward with Bonahu at the
Yes.
end. Um,
Yes.
And I'm wondering if part of that is because their resources were so depleted, they were in a desperate point. They were at a desperate point, I should say, to where they needed to change or they were not going to survive. Do you think that is the difference between one tribe and the other?
Yes, actually, that's why the Onrak's father ordered her to look for the River of Sarig, because the people they're losing hope. They've been
Mm-hmm.
wandering the desert, their resources are depleted. For them, they it's fear. It's out of fear for this new leadership who is still of the bloodline Dula, who whose whose brothers, because they were there when um, the brothers made made wars with each other, and they were there. They saw what humans could do to them, the myth folks.
Yeah.
That's why they were hesitant. So in if Onrak could come back with the water of Sarig and bring back hope to the people, at least the people would then live and thrive for the moment with a little bit of hope, which is how I see the poor. It's actually a reflection of what's of the poor people, of what I see here in the Philippines. The people living out of poverty and all of that, they cling to hope, and that's what Onrak's father wanted to do, to give them something, a semblance of hope for them to thrive on.
Yeah. No, and it definitely does register, and it definitely does show that mistrust can only go so far if you are losing hope and you don't
Hmm.
have resources and you're in a desperate part of your life. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if it's positive or negative. That's when change can happen, but I think if you're pushed to a certain extent where it's like if I don't change, I die. I mean, that's still it's a powerful enough tool for change, but it's also just a reflection of where sometimes society has to stoop to in order to change.
For us as human beings, we have to look for something that will give us hope to move us further
Hmm.
in life. Well, people say that, hey, you're living. For some people, it's not like that. You're surviving,
Yeah.
and that's how I reflected. That's how the tribe of the Maiseg reflects upon what their life is. It's not living; it's surviving.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I really like Onrak. What does her name mean? And was she inspired by anyone?
No, actually, she came in. That name came from a dream.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not. Um, Not exactly a dream, but something of a nightmare, where I was walking, and I was climbing up the stairs, and then I just heard that name. It's something like that, and then I woke up, and hey, I already had a character, but I didn't have a name for the character, so I put in there, and it doesn't really have a meaning, like the names of Adalanon and Agatanon. They don't really have meanings, but they're just, a jumble up of words
Okay.
to put in there.
Very cool. I mean, she's definitely somebody that is aspiring to do well by her people.
Hmm.
And I was pleasantly surprised to see how open she was to accepting charity from a human given the history of the tribe and what her father has kind of taught
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
Um and I'm glad she did, but I was pleasantly surprised to be like to see her accept an apple immediately, and again maybe it goes back down to that theme of like when your hope is frail, you're open to change and you're open to
Hmm.
kindness.
Hmm. That's true. Um, it's more of, if you're given a task, and you just and you see a stranger give a helping hand, and you don't have any other choice, and you see that, the sincerity of the stranger, would you take would you take it? Would you bite the
Yeah.
things that would you bite the food that's given to you because there's no other choice? or would you leave it all alone? But in this case, Bunao presented himself, and he wanted to prove himself as well.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coin, he wanted to prove himself to Onrak that, hey, I'm the good guy. I'm here to
Yeah.
help you.
Correct. And yeah, there it is. I really like the character design of Onrak and her like garb
Thank you.
and long flowing mane hair, which is very
Hmm.
appropriate for stallions. And well, she wouldn't be a stallion. That's a male horse. Sorry, a mare. Mare. I corrected myself. I corrected myself. I'm so
there,
sorry for misgendering you.
there was actually one time where I was questioned, why make a female tikbalang,
Okay.
because in Philippine lore, the tikbalang is really
Mm.
mostly male,
Ah,
and they're usually demons that play tricks on you when you're in the forest. But in the lore of Tundo, I said, I want, what's wrong with having a female tikbalang? What's wrong
nothing.
with having nothing? And there's nothing wrong with having female leaders, just like what Onrak is doing, trying to prove herself to the tribe that she can take over her father, that she can have her father's trust in her.
Yeah, and speaking of like her father and her, he's trying to hold on to a tradition of the way things have worked in the past, and she
Mm-hmm.
is trying to fulfill that while also being counseled by Bunahu that, the way of the world is dead. You should let the past die and kill it. Very Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Bunahu. Do you find it hard to decipher just in general when it's time to move forward, or no, it's more important holding on to current policies?
Of course, especially if you're used to what you have.
Yeah.
If you're used to what you have, and change is ultimately the only thing that pushes us forward.
Hmm.
We can never be the same person. We can never have the same things. And in this particular in particular instances, particularly me, it's sometimes it's really hard to move on to different things. Just as in this story, the tribe of the Maiseg finds it hard to move on to different things because, hey, we're sometimes if you're oppressed, and then they give you a life of luxury, people give you a life of luxury, that opportunity itself will be strange for you, and you would look back and say, I want to go back to me being poor, because that's who I am. But there's a right and wrong to that. There's an
Hmm.
advantage and disadvantage for that. That's why it's hard. That's
Yeah.
why you don't know, because you're out of your comfort zone.
Well, and then also some people would rather die and be free or live and be enslaved. And there is probably that fear there with this tribe of like, if we go down this path, are we really going to be better off? And that's not an answer that you can come to easily.
Yes, yes, that's true. That's why they were wandering for a long time.
Hmm.
They didn't know. They didn't
Yeah.
know. It's hard to trust. Trust is so precious, for this and the last issue. Trust is really precious. That's why if you tend to destroy the trust in a certain person, you just don't really have to blame them if they don't want to talk to you anymore,
Yeah,
because
no,
it's like that.
that is so true, which is why Bunahu has a very very tricky task upon himself with trying to rebuild trust. But I do love how you had him go about it with Onrak in this episode, where you had him offer help but not press upon it or like force
Hmm.
upon his help. You had him kind of gently offer it, but keep a watchful eye and only kind of come in when he thought it was necessary, and stuff like that. Do you, why was that important to kind of showcase that very gentle assistance?
Because the tribe of the Maiseg, particularly Onrak and her father, are very prideful creatures. They they have been they have been miserable. They have been on their own. They have proven themselves that, hey, we can do it without anyone's help. So just giving tidbits, giving a little help here and there was important for Bunao because he wanted Onrak to succeed,
Yeah.
because he wanted Onrak back to the kingdom of Tundo and not be an outcast anymore, because the myth folks are important for Bunao. And Onrak being the heroine of the story, uh, Bunao saw that she must succeed, even though there's indirect help coming from others like him. And she has to prove herself, not only to her father, but to herself as well,
Yeah.
that she can do it. I don't need your help, but I don't need your help. She would say that. But she would, at the back of her mind, I don't mind. There are people like that. I want to prove myself because I'm brave, because I'm strong, because I'm prideful.
Yeah.
But Bunao saw that, there is that tinge of weakness in your character, in your characteristics, that I want to help you because I know
Yeah.
you need my help.
Yeah, and I also just think what was also lovely is having two different narratives of even the rock giant, because at the very beginning the rock giant, what's the rock giant's name?
Kaagat. It's
Kahagat.
really it's a play for kagat. Kagat in Tagalog is bite. So the place where the kaagat is the jaws of the dragon, and that's why I did something there, playing around with it,
I like
putting
it.
it. Yeah.
I dig it. But like there's two different narratives, because when you first approach him, he seems very menacing and unfriendly, and you have to kind of go
Mm-hmm.
through him in order to get to the River of Sarig,
Mm-hmm.
where it's dried up. And then when both Bunahu and Onrak come out, he's like friendly and he's like waving. He's like, "Goodbye, guys, until next time," which was quite adorable. I think that was probably my favorite panel of the issue, was just him waving, very friendly. Yo, what up? Thanks for stopping by. Come by next time. It was very cute.
It's actually a metaphor for personalities, where you shouldn't really judge, because people because the kaagat is just doing his job. He's you
Yeah.
No one may pass, no one may go to the river of Sarig, except until you've proven yourself.
Yeah.
So he's doing his that, but there was that instance where, when it was Bunao's turn, the kaagat just throws throws a rock at Bunao, and still he's just fulfilling his job. He's like a security guard. Hey,
Yeah.
where's your ID?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's like, listen, guys, I only get paid minimum wage. I'm 10 minutes away from my coffee break. Can you just give me your ID? Because you can't come through here. You can't come
Yes.
through here.
Yes.
Um, it's very true. It's very, very true indeed. Did you have a favorite art panel in this issue?
Actually, the one where the kaagat is waving.
Yes,
I
we
love
finally have
it.
the same one.
I love that. Yeah, it was it was actually, we have here comics conventions, and I was supposed to come out. It was a month I needed to print the book here, and I was stressed out because I might not meet the deadline for the printing. And then when I finally saw that, hey, I still have a week to go, and then I was so happy to draw the kaagat waving.
He's very adorable. Okay, so now that this tribe has joined Bunahu and Onrak is on his side and her people are going to be taken care of and saved, then it's kind of like Bunahu gets a win at the end of this issue, as opposed to the last episode where the pesky
Yes.
humans he did not convert them yet, or not convert, but he
Yes.
didn't win them over,
Yeah.
as you could say. So it's like, what is it, what is he doing with that? Can we have like a sneak peek of what's next now that he has the Smith folk with him?
Actually, I don't know if I can say this, but
Dang it.
in future issues, there is going to be a war, and Bunao is going to need the help. And Onrak is one of the main character, not main characters, but one of the characters who will help him out. Um, in the society of the mythfolk, the mythfolks in the kingdom of Tundo is a vital part because they are creatures of magic. They are the sons and daughters of magic. So if Tundo fails, it fails them and they die. That's it. That's why it's important for them to be one with Bunao because Bunao is Tundo and making everything work right. The stories will come later on, but for now Onrak is there. She's back with Tundo as well as with the tribe of the Maiseg.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of like it's nice to see him just trying to build bridges with people. And before there can be a war or a battle, you have
Hmm.
to gather your army, gather your
Hmm.
troops, gather your people. And
Yes.
Onrak, her people and herd seem like worthy alliances to
Hmm.
earn, which in a sense he has to earn them, and he has earned them. And I'm excited because I really did enjoy this issue and Onrak and what she and her people will do next.
Hmm.
Also, Daya was still my favorite, so I'm glad the dragon was still made a he still made a cameo in this episode.
Yep. Yep. He will.
Ah, very, very good. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait till next issue to see what is up next. Ah,
Yes.
well, MA, before we go, please tell the folks at home or on their laptops or their phones where they can find you.
Okay. You can visit my website at paperdrawing.com. For Instagram and Facebook, it's Paper Drawing Studio. And with Twitter, it's at paper underscore drawing.
Excellent. Well, always a pleasure to chat with you, MA. And guys, I'm Bevin. And until next time, this has been Tales from Tundo, Episode 6, a talkback podcast for Kingdom of Tundo. New issues of the comic book and episodes of the podcast are available monthly. Check out roguematter.com or download the Rogue Matter app because, yes, Gen Zers and millennials, we have an app. We're hip. Ah, it's available on iOS and Android. Kingdom of Tundo issue number 7 will be available on roguematter.com November 2nd. Tales from Tundo episode 7 will be available the same day. So we will see you guys then. Bye.